Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today we're jumping right into Road to Ranked. In the last episode, we used this really interesting team featuring physical Coalossal, so we'll be playing a couple more matches with it today. First game of the day, my opponent has some really cool Pokemon like Scizor and Klefki, as well as Blastoise. So yeah, really neat stuff here. They don't have any Ghost Resist, so I'm honestly thinking maybe we play towards Spectrier, but I mean, bringing Coalossal into a matchup when they have Rain seems scary, but it actually is still pretty good, especially if we can change the weather. Klefki always just adds another variable though, which scares me a little bit, but I don't know. I think we could really go with both here. Because Coalossal will actually one-shot most of my opponent's Pokemon. I think we need Rillaboom. Just what do they lead? I mean, Blastoise is really scary in itself, right? I think I'm actually I'm gonna play towards Togekiss Spectrier. It's just safer. Bringing a Coalossal out when they have two water type Pokemon and Rain added to the mix scares me a fair amount. And then I guess I'll just go with Urshifu and Rillaboom here. But I don't know. I think you could actually make a really solid argument for Coalossal here, because if my opponent misleads, it can really just sweep through it very, very quickly. So yeah. Either way, thanks so much as always for watching Road to Ranked. I know Series 9 is coming to an end in the next few weeks, and with Series 10 rules out already, I'm sure a lot of people are trying it out, playing it. I haven't dived into it yet myself. July's just been kind of a busy month, but it is definitely something I want to explore later down in the road, obviously. And I've been following results of just what people are using and kind of usage stats. So I'm gonna try to make one of those intro to the format videos before Series 10 officially rotates over, and so I'll be working on that. But yeah, thanks so much as always for watching, and I hope you're continuing to enjoy competitive VGC in general. And yeah, if you enjoyed the videos, please show your support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. Okay, so it is just Politoed plus Blastoise. I mean, the play I really want to make is just Follow Me and Phantasm, I think. Yeah, I think that works for me. This gets the defense drop, then I can just bring out Rillaboom. I wonder if Helping Hand Phantasm KOs Blastoise. Without knowing that calc, I can't be confident on it, so I'm just gonna go for Follow Me and Phantasm. The worst case scenario here is Cannonade one-shots Togekiss, and it's Life Orb Blastoise, and then Politoed gets a yawn off into the Spectrier. So we'll see. But yeah, my opponent has a lot of cool Pokemon, so honestly I won't be that sad if we lose this one. I'm rooting for them. I'm gonna max Spectrier. Yeah, the thing with Coalossal is that if I lead Coalossal here, their Blastoise, even if I go for Aqua Jet and change the weather, this is game 1 of yesterday, right? Where I learned that even if we flare, we're just not gonna survive an attack from Blastoise. So this was my opponent's best lead in my opinion to counter the Coalossal stuff specifically. But once again, the cool thing about Spectre here is because you have so many physical attackers, you set up all these defense drops, and then the physical attackers in the back, like Rillaboom and Urshifu, can take advantage of that. So we're going to get Follow Me off here. They are going to max the Blastoise, fine with me. Okay, Politoed doesn't go for something like a Helping Hand. Wow, it's actually not a 2-hit KO on Blastoise. That's impressive bulk. But that's fine, because I've set myself up for Rillaboom to come out and just click Grassy Glide on it. I feel like everyone has max Steel Spike now. Oh my goodness. I say that because I was just playing a couple of other games, and I ran into a Kingdra with max Steel Spike and a Garchomp with max Steel Spike. So it's interesting to see how much people are teching Steel type attacks in right now. But yeah, because they go for it, it doesn't actually KO us, and they didn't Cannonade. It's Rain Dish Blastoise. Wow. Okay. I'm just gonna go for a Helping Hand and Phantasm here, honestly. Maybe they read into it and then they protect the Blastoise and then KO Togekiss, but then I get a free switch into Rillaboom. So, yeah, I'm fine with this. Now, I could read into the Blastoise protecting, but I don't want to get overly greedy. And I think a lot of people would just attack with Blastoise. Also, if you're running Steel Spike, that also might mean you don't even have space for a Max Guard. So, yeah. Because Blastoise obviously wants to run Water Spout / Hydro Cannon, Ice Beam / Blizzard. You can have space for Steel Spike, but yeah, that was Rain Dish is also pretty interesting. Although it makes sense given that there's a Politoed on the team. But now Spectrier gets one more big attack off. They actually scalded into Spectrier too. So yeah, That was a good example of how you shouldn't always get baited in going for super effective attacks, because I think Cannonade actually should do more damage than Steel Spike there, given that you have the Rain and the same type attack bonus. And if they went for Cannonade, Togekiss definitely would have fainted from that plus Scald plus the residual damage. We still would have been in a fine spot because I get the free switch in a Rillaboom. This is why it's really important for teams to have multiple strategies, right? Imagine if we we only could play around Coalossal, then we just kind of hard lose to the Politoed plus Blastoise lead. So that's why Spectrier is a really critical component to this team. They bring Klefki out. We do have a special attack boost here. Politoed's not really that scary offensively. Just wondering if there's a potential Focus Sash here on Klefki. I would like to eliminate that, I think. It's pretty easy to go for something like Helping Hand and Max Quake here. So even if they Light Screen, I think that would KO. I'm expecting Klefki to be Light Clay. But I also don't think we needed to Max Quake here, because there is the very small possibility my opponent's Calm Mind. Wow, interesting. I was going to say, there's the very small possibility my opponent would bait a Max Quake and then just switch Klefki out into Zapdos. So I think the better play actually was probably to just Phantasm that slot. Although I'm not sure Phantasm would have KO'd because they actually have Calm Mind, but this should pick up the KO. Yeah. So once again, a good team in VGC will often have multiple components, multiple cores that you can play around. And Coalossal teams typically rely very heavily on Coalossal, but the Spectrier Togekiss just unlocks a completely different mode for this team. And the cool thing is that Togekiss flexes as a support Pokemon for either Spectrier or Coalossal. It's very good with both. So yeah. But I think this is why team building is a really important element of Pokemon. It's also why team preview is a really important element, because if we had led with Coalossal stuff here, we would have been in a very big disadvantage. I'm just going to go Urshifu up first. The only thing that threatens Rillaboom is that Zapdos in the back. Oh, they have Volcarona as well. And yeah, there's Zapdos. So rather just KO the Zapdos first, and then Rillaboom obviously will hard win against the Politoed. Whereas if I had brought Rillaboom out immediately, I guess Spectrier does have 2 special attack boosts, so maybe we just KO Zapdos anyway, but now it's very safe, right, to just go for Surging Strikes onto the Zapdos. We're at +2 special attack, +1 special defense, so even a Scald into Spectrier shouldn't KO us, so we just double up on Zapdos. If Zapdos protects, fine. If it doesn't protect, I wonder if this just KOs. Let's see if it's bulky enough to survive. Oh, that is so strong. Wow. And that's why Spectrier is still a super good Pokemon. Yeah. Okay, sweet. Surging Strikes probably does what? I would guess 40-ish% to Politoed, but the rain is up, so maybe more. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a little bit more. Yeah, over 50 actually. Not bad. Yeah, it was more 60 rather than 40. But yeah, I guess that's, the rain obviously has that boost. So Politoed's going to Scald here, and yeah, with that special defense boost, Spectrier's just going to pick up every KO in this game. So yeah, I think a lot of teams right now obviously are built to have answers against Coalossal. That's actually one of the reasons why Blastoise and Garchomp picked up significantly in usage, because they both match up really well into Coalossal, right? Coalossal can't one-shot them even at +2, and then you can return with the one-hit KO with a 4x water attack or a ground type attack. So yeah. But, yeah, we can just obviously double up on Politoed here. Spectrier will get to +4 if my opponent does not forfeit. And in the end, without having any Ghost Resist on my opponent's team, that's one of the reasons why I felt really confident in Spectrier. Because Spectrier is one of those Pokemon, it reminds me of Porygon Z, for example, where you really can just accelerate the game super quickly if your opponent doesn't have the right tools. And no defensive switch-ins, for example, or Pokemon that are immune make it a lot harder to play around a Pokemon like Spectrier, because it means that there's never a safe play, quote-unquote, for you to make, right? So, yeah. I think if my opponent went for Cannonade on turn 1, they would have at least, added up the residual damage, but, Klefki wasn't going to offer them very much. It was actually more dead weight than anything, and something like Volcarona, I think, might have had more value just for potential redirection support, but definitely a really cool team, yeah. And once again, the Steel Spike on Blastoise is really fascinating. So, Scizor is one of my all-time favorite Pokemon. Enigma Berry. Wait, what? It was physical Blastoise. What does an Enigma Berry do? If a Pokemon holds one, being held by a super effective attack will restore its HP. I've actually, never seen that. This is... Wow. Scald Helping Hand Thief Rain Dance with Ogwav. AV Rillaboom, okay. Yache Berry Zapdos. And Calm Mind, Rest, Dazzling Gleam, Iron Defense, Klefki. This is definitely not your like run-of-the-mill team. Really cool sets here. I don't think I've ever seen physical Blastoise, to be honest. That's fascinating. And it was max HP. I was wondering how it took the Phantasm so well. So they did have Protect, but yeah, I think like Helping Hand is a move that people kind of often like forget about, and so it can lend to you getting surprise KOs that your opponents aren't anticipating, which is super, super sweet. But really, really cool team there from my opponent. So yeah, you know, it's funny because I see physical Blastoise, I'm like, I would have never expected it, and that's typically what people are gonna say when they go up against this Coalossal team, right? Like almost everyone uses special Coalossal, so when you use physical Coalossal, it completely just turns everything into a loop. Speaking of Pokemon that have good matchups in the Coalossal, though, it's Kingdra. So that's pretty scary, as well as potential Water Urshifu. They don't have a Ghost Resist again, so this is probably just another Spectrier game. It's pretty easy to lead Togekiss Spectrier here. And then I guess just Urshifu Rillaboom again. I don't know, without knowing their Urshifu type as well, like, I'm really not confident in bringing Coalossal, and, like, they have Tailwind with Tornadus as well, and it's like, if you set up Tailwind and Rain Dance on the Kingdra, also, if you hear some background noise, I think my dad's using the blender, so, yeah. Dragapult doesn't make that much sense here, and once again, the problem with Coalossal is that it just can't really one-shot these Water-type Pokemon, and then the Water-type Pokemon can obviously retaliate back for a KO, so, yeah. We're just going to play towards Spectrier again. I'm curious if it's Dark Urshifu or Water Urshifu. Both make a decent amount of sense to me here, so we'll see which one they opted for. But, even if it's Dark Urshifu, I mean, Spectrier can still... Like, Spectrier Togekiss specifically can do pretty well. And honestly, like, Togekiss was one of my favorite Pokemon in early Sword and Shield because of the fact that, like, it can provide so much good support. Like, Togekiss Dragapult was one of my favorite best-of-1 combinations just because you could, like, Helping Hand... once again, by itself, is a move that can win you the game on one turn because it allows a Pokemon like Dragapult or Spectre to pick up a KO that normally you wouldn't be picking up. And then those Pokemon can just snowball the game so quickly. So, yeah, that's kind of what gave us a significant advantage in that last game on turn 2. And it's one of the reasons why I want to lead it here as well. So it is going to be Tornadus Kingdra. Okay. Well, this is interesting, because like I said, I've been seeing so many Steel-type attacks on everything, like Garchomp, Kingdra, that Blastoise we just ran into, so I wouldn't be surprised if they have Max Steel Spike on Kingdra. Do you have Dazzling Gleam? I have Max Phantasm. You could Tailwind or Rain Dance. I think I'm just going to go for a Follow Me here, the max, and then... Ooh, Strike's interesting if it one-shots Tornadus and drops Kingdra's speed, but... it's also, are you Sash Tornadus? Probably not, you've got Urshifu in the back, right? Okay, I'm going to go Follow Me Phantasm into Kingdra, but I don't know. I feel like there was maybe a better play to make here. With Tornadus, I would probably go Tailwind. Actually, yeah, if you're going to Tailwind and Geyser, it makes no sense to Max Strike there. I was just thinking about actually going for the knockout onto Tornadus immediately, get a boost, and then that puts us in a really interesting position going to turn 2. And I feel like it's pretty unlikely that there's a Focus Sash on Tornadus here, but maybe I'm wrong. They just Protect Kingdra. Okay, nicely done. Yeah, that gives them a major advantage going into turn 2, I would say. It's a good way to... That's how you can beat Spectrier, right? So yeah, if we Phantasm into Tornadus, we would have had a really nice start to the game. Oh, and they go for Taunt. I really like that play. That's a really good play. Because now I think what you can do is go for Rain Dance. I'm assuming you're having Rain Dance on the Tornadus. Rain Dance and then Max Geyser. I wonder if that KOs the Spectrier at full HP. I wouldn't think so, actually, but... That's fine. Really nice play, though. I'm going to Dazzling Gleam here, and I'm actually going to Phantasm. Phantasming Tornadus is interesting because we have defense drops on this thing, but I think it's probably better to just still target Kingdra, especially if they choose to max it. Because my opponent doesn't like have other great max options when I see their team, right? I think Kingdra feels like the primary max option in the majority of games. I guess Tornadus could max, but if they have Taunt, Tailwind, like... We've seen those offensive Tornaduses, right? Like you run like Icy Wind, Heat Wave, Hurricane, /Air Slash, and you can actually get a good amount of damage off, but I think it's less likely that's going to be the case on my opponent's team here because of the Kingdra. I kind of expect Rain Dance on this Tornadus, especially without like a Politoed. Yeah, so there's the Rain Dance. Good decision to not max Kingdra there, though, because they have taken so much damage already. And it is just going to be a muddy water. Now the fear... Yeah, the problem is they can get a switch into Urshifu. They're going to have a late game Dynamax to play towards, which is really good for them. Like, had I Phantasm Tornadus on turn 1, because they didn't end up maxing Kingdra or going for Rain Dance or Tailwind, we would have been in a really significant advantage. So... my opponent made, like, the one play, like, really covered for the specific play that I made, and so, like, kudos to them. But I think in retrospect, I don't know, it's just a question of focus Sash. If you have to Sash on Tornadus, I'm a little bit more hesitant, but given that there is an Urshifu in the back, like, maybe I don't need to really worry about the Sash too much. So, we'll see what comes out. Tornadus has Rain Dance, should have Taunt, should have, it should be Rain Dance, Taunt, Tailwind, Hurricane. They bring out Raichu. That's so interesting, because, like, it doesn't really do much damage. Really, at all. Their best max option right now is, I guess, Rillaboom, Urshifu, and Entei are all viable. Rillaboom I actually have to be very careful about. So, yeah, I do have a special attack boost on this. We do have the Wakamberry on this. I'm still taunted. Dazzling Gleam works. How many turns of Tailwind do they have? Oh, they haven't even Tailwinded yet. Well, they should Tailwind now, right? Gleam. I mean, I should... who do I want to... actually, Tornadus is a pretty big offensive threat to what we have in the back. So, yeah, I'm going to Gleam here. And go for Phantasm onto Tornadus. Okay, they go for Tailwind. Yeah, I mean, unless you have, like, Volt Tackle here, Togekiss should actually survive an attack. Oh, they actually just offered Nuzzle. Okay. This is scary because I have to play around Para now. So if we get parried here, that's actually really, really bad. Okay, pretty good damage. We actually crit Raichu. Fortunately, no paralysis. Okay, that's huge. But this is the thing, right? My opponent, like, has a lot of supportive Pokemon and, like, not that many great, like, super strong max options. So this end game will be pretty interesting because they have the late game Dynamax, but I have been able to, you know, get an early numbers advantage. Now, I don't have Protect on either Pokemon, so there is a chance both of our Pokemon just faint this next turn. But if we can force this to be a 3v1, regardless of who their max option is... oh, it's Entei. Okay, I'm actually really happy to see Entei, because my Urshifu obviously has a pretty good matchup into that in the late game. Especially with the rain still being up, although there's still, what, 2 turns, is it? 3 turns, okay, even better. Still taunted, but I don't really see any value in switching Togekiss out here. So actually, let's think about that. Taunt does wear off after this turn, so Togekiss survives the turn, that's good. I just, like, I don't want to throw away Rillaboom or Urshifu here, because, yeah, Urshifu's our main win con. I guess we could switch Togekiss into Rillaboom. That's actually not a bad play. Because, like, what can they do that really covers for that? I guess the best would be Max Flare, but even then, it's in the rain. So, yeah, I'm down to switch out in Shadow Ball here. Because the thing is, even if they max now, I'll have Togekiss for redirection support next to Urshifu, which is pretty valuable. And I don't think Rillaboom's getting one shot here. I guess the only risk is, like, Nuzzle into a Paralysis. But Raichu's very rarely carry Protect as well, so we can use that to our advantage. Anyway, definitely some interesting teams today. With the Blastoise in the first game, the physical Blastoise, the Klefki, and then really good turn 1 play by my opponent in this game. But it was very risky as well. So that's on me for not capitalizing more off of it. Yeah, I should have seen, like, with Raichu and Urshifu in their team composition, it's really unlikely I think Tornadus has Focus Sash in that position. So I think we were safe to just go for Follow Me Phantasm on turn 1. Okay, they Volt Switch. Yeah, that's fine. You should KO the Spectrier here. Or are they not even KO? Okay, yeah. Okay, they still spec into Spectrier. That makes sense. Yep. But I think now we've kind of pinned our opponent, because I can bring Togekiss back out. I can go for Helping Hand Grassy Glide onto Raichu. Now, the only problem is if Raichu has Protect. But I don't want to bring Urshifu out, because that's the win condition against Entei, right? We can't let it take any damage, so we can just go out into Togekiss. Entei could definitely still pull off a comeback right now. But I'm fairly sure Helping Hand into Grassy Glide should KO Raichu, even with that 1 defense boost. So let's just go for that. I do have Yawn, but I think Entei is probably going to Steel Spike into Togekiss anyway. I also had Fake Out, but I don't, like, because we know they have Steel Spike on Entei and they've revealed that already, then I don't see much value in going for Yawn. Otherwise, one play we could have considered was Fake Out Raichu Yawn into the Entei. But I don't really want to do that here. Yes, now I'm just hoping Raichu isn't bulky enough to survive this, or have Protect. So, my computer actually just fell asleep. Helping Hand, Glide. Okay, perfect. Get the knockout there. They Flare, even better. Into Rillaboom, perfect. And we survive that. Now the Flare is obviously, it's a good play, right? You change the weather, so then my Urshifu doesn't match up as well against this Entei in the late game. But the thing is, I mean, Entei could still win with the Sacred Fire Burn, which is what scares me a little bit right now. So last one are Tailwind, they're at +1 defense. I could obviously follow me, but we do have Yawn, so if they get greedy and don't target Togekiss, like, that would be great. I could Helping Hand plus Glide. I think I'm down to just to do maximum damage here, like Wood Hammer into Entei and Yawn. Because, like, yeah, if you end up targeting Rillaboom with Flare or Steel Spike, then we get the Yawn off, and that just wins us the game. If you target Togekiss, then, yeah, I just get a Wood Hammer off. I guess I could have switched Togekiss out into Urshifu in that position, but I don't like the idea of breaking my Focus Sash there. With Sash Urshifu in the back, like, we should be in a pretty good position. Yeah, Wood Hammer doesn't do much, but any damage is damage here in this endgame. So I think my opponent's win con is probably to get a bird on the Urshifu. I'm curious on its other attacks. Like, Entei doesn't really match up very well into Urshifu, to be honest. So, this is why I wanted to conserve Urshifu. But, yeah, it's interesting that, you know, this is... When you see the team, you think it's probably primarily a Coalossal team, but we've actually brought out Spectrier in, what, 4 of the 5 games now that we played, and Coalossal only in 1. And even in the 1 game I brought it out in. I kind of got lucky on the first turn, right, where my opponent, yeah, just didn't target into the Coalossal. Okay, so I think we can just Grassy Glide here, and Surging Strikes into Entei. I mean, Entei's typically run, what, Sacred Fire, you can have Extreme Speed, Bulldoze, Snarl. Does it get an electric type attack like Wild Charge? For some reason I thought it did, but I'm not sure. But if anything, like both today's episode and yesterday's episode is interesting because once again, you can see how like by even just having Coalossal in team preview, my opponent's forced to react to it. But I don't actually even use the Coalossal, right? But I can, like, it gives me room to play with because I'm expecting my opponent to lead in a specific way. Oh my goodness, it's actually weakness policy. Now we have Focus Sash, so I think we should be okay, but very interesting. Okay. I mean, Sacred Fire, like, would that in Sun bring us down to Sash? No. That was close, though. They needed a crit and a burn, though. If you don't, even if you burn their Surging Strikes plus another Glide should KO, but weakness policy Entei. That's wild. How do you even activate the policy? There's no great way to self-activate it here, right? Surf Kingdra, maybe? Either way, I was wondering, like, what the max option was, and because, like, I thought Kingdra was really the only super strong option. Oh, my goodness. Wait, I totally forgot about Extreme Speed. I should have Wood Hammered there. Wow. I think Wood Hammer would have KO'd. Yeah, there's literally no reason to Wood Hammer there. Oh my goodness, I totally forgot about E-Speed. And I even just mentioned it as an attack. Well, now my opponent wins. Yeah, I mean, I assume Wood Hammer would have KO'd. Yeah, I thought I had this wrapped up, but this is a good example of how you like always need to consider like every possibility. I needed to like just keep clicking Wood Hammer with Rillaboom rather than Grassy Glide the last couple of turns, because that would have given me the extra damage to KO the Entei. Oh wow, that feels bad. This one's on me. I guess they could still miss Sacred Fire, but they're gonna connect. I thought it was a wrap when we had Urshifu in the back, but they ended up actually being weakness policy. But the thing is, even with weakness policy, I could have won by just clicking Wood Hammer those 2 times. That's wild. That is super, super wild. I mean, you never like to lose like that, right? Because like this was I lost just because I didn't like fully consider the end game as well as I should have. Life Orb Kingdra, Wakandberry Tornadus, yeah. Rose Instance Rillaboom, Choice Band Urshifu, Weakness Policy without Protect, yeah. Iron Head Sacred Fire Stomping E-Speed, and it was Surf Raichu. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, the misplay in this endgame, I didn't really think about Policy Entei, but like the turn I clicked like, I just thought we had the game locked up, right? Which is why, like, you really do want to fully think through some turns, because, like, this does kind of feel like I mean, I would call it a throw. Like, I just didn't consider the fact that, yeah, we were going to KO there. Woodhammer does more. So, I always should be clicking Woodhammer over Glide in that end game. And this was me, like, not thinking about the worst-case scenario enough and getting, yeah, running into it, which was Policy Entei. Because if you're not Policy there, then, you know, Urshifu is always going to win against the Entei there. But, yeah, I didn't ask myself what the worst-case scenario was, and as a result, I wasn't clicking those Woodhammers, and that's gonna, yeah, save my opponent the game. That's why you never give up from my opponent's perspective. But they played that game really well, honestly, so kudos to them. But a game like that's always frustrating because it's like, in the end, I misplayed, right? If I just played optimally and made the right, like, the perfect plays, like, there's no reason to glide over Woodhammer in that position, I think. Yeah, because Urshifu is always going to win the 1v1 against Entei there. So, I thought we had it locked up regardless of what we went for, but that was my mistake. And in the end, I get punished really heavily for it. So, yeah. Okay, last game here. Cinderace, Sylveon, Whimsicott, Fini, Incineroar, and Regieleki. You know what I see? No Ghost Resists. Although Cinderace could turn into a Ghost Resist by changing its type. I don't know, I feel like Dragapult Coalossal works here. Cinderace isn't one-shotting Cole, although I guess it could just go for High Jump Kick. Alternatively, I could just go Togekiss Spectrier anyway. Okay, I'm kind of down for Togekiss Spectrier one last time. Rillaboom Urshifu. Sorry, Coalossal. Today's not your day. Oh, man, that last game is like... yeah. That's why you never want to, like, assume you have the win until you literally see the win. And that game, I just kind of, like, blanked out for that last turn. So, that's on me. Yeah, like, it obviously was going to have extreme speed as soon as you see the weakness policy. And I should have always assumed it did have the E-speed there. We're going to go with Incineroar Fini. Yeah, I mean, that's the most, like, anti-Coalossal lead, right? So, I think turn 1, we can just go Helping Hand and probably Quake into Incineroar. Or we can just Helping Hand Phantasm Fini. But I'd rather KO Incineroar here if I can, I think. Fini's not really that scary with us having Rillaboom in the back. Oh, I say it's not that scary, but I think I should still show it respect. But I can see Fini protecting here. Or Calm Minding. Like, the reason I like Helping Hand Quake a little bit more is because I get a special defense boost, and if your Incineroar isn't like AV or Shuka, should just get the KO onto it. So, I'm gonna go for it. And I think, like, it's more likely for Fini to have Protect than Incineroar here. But I'm still thinking about that last game just because, like, losing because you didn't play perfectly is, like, I think the most frustrating thing about Pokemon, right? Like, RNG, for example, like, is actually less tilting than knowing that I had a guaranteed win, but missed it. So, yeah, that's on me. Okay, they're not going to switch out either Pokemon. They're not going to max. Oh, interesting. They don't fake out either. Okay. But, like, if Fini goes for a Calm Mind, that's fine, right? Nice, and we get the KO onto Incineroar. So, that's a great start, because once again, it's just Spectrier bulldozing through. Okay, so we get a boost there. Goodbye, Incineroar. And we get a special attack boost, so once again, this is the beauty of Helping Hand. Calm Mind? Okay. That's fine, because I have Rillaboom in the back, and with each Phantasm I get a defense drop on your Fini, meaning that Rillaboom does even more damage. And if you don't have Ice Beam, which I don't think it should, given that you're Calm Mind, Rillaboom should handle Fini pretty easily in the end game. So now you bring out, I would think Cinderace? Okay, they bring out a Lecky, works for me. Especially because we have the Wakandberry and the special defense boost here, which is awesome. I am down to just go for a... I mean, is Regieleki going to be sashed here? I don't think so. Lucky could protect, but we could still just burst through with Helping Hand and Max Quake. Their last one should be Cinderace, right? I would protect a Lucky in this position. I'd actually just double protect if I were my opponent. So I could get a defense drop on Fini. Okay, I definitely like... Yeah, I like Helping Hand here. I'm gonna go Phantasm. Helping Hand Phantasm here, I think. Mainly because I want the defense drop on Fini. Oh, they go for Electro Web. Okay, that works for me. I would think Cinderace is the last one. I still have to be careful about Fini, though, right? Like, this thing is still a problem. See if they outspeed us. Yeah, they're still slower even after a speed drop, which is nice. The only problem here is if they are sashed, but like when you have Whimsicott on the team, I really think it's unlikely you're sashed. So this is always where you can like try to deduce your opponent's items based off the Pokemon that they have in their composition. Okay, so we're at +2 special attack, +1 special defense, -1 speed. They Calm Mind again? Oh, they just Muddy Water, okay. Yeah, it's fine. Accuracy drop on Spectrier, it's fine. Cinderace should be their last one. I'd be very surprised if it weren't. I'm so sad about that last game. Like, if there, yeah, it's just the worst feeling losing a game because I just kind of missed the 100% win game. Or, win con. They bring Cinderace out. We are at +2 special attack, so I think we can just go for a Follow Me here. So the thing is that Cinderace can change its typing, obviously. Can turn into Steel. If it's Steel... Like, Quake covers for any type it can change into, right? But Phantasm is fine, even if you change into Dark type, because then now you get a defense drop, and then Grassy Glide or Urshifu, yeah, should just finish you off. So I'm just going to Follow Me and Phantasm here, I think. I mean, you should max Cinderace here. It's really interesting they didn't bring Whimsicott out in this game, but once again, you can see the passive pressure like Coalossal provides. My opponent led in Incineroar Fini because they were definitely expecting Coalossal as a lead, and that makes a lot of sense. If I knew +2 Max Quake was a guaranteed KO on Cinderace, regardless of what type it is, then I would have gone for that, but here, like, you'd have to max Darkness to resist. Sorry, you'd have to max Darkness, yeah, to resist the Phantasm, and then that doesn't even KO Togekiss. They did go for Darkness, though, yeah. But I think if you're my opponent, that's, like, you have to go for that play. Because you're already so far behind in this game, so, like, you can still win if I throw the game by not clicking Follow Me. Like, this is why Pokemon, like, every turn matters so much, and I didn't, like, consider the end game of that last game well. And it's very easy to have a game that's in your grasp slip out of your hands very quickly. So, Phantasm's definitely not going to KO here, but now we have a defense drop on this thing, so Rillaboom can just finish the game off. Yeah, so that's why I was okay with that. Actually, Togekiss might even survive, but I kind of want Togekiss to faint here. Great play. I really like the Calm Mind play here. I think that's smart. And we do have an accuracy drop here on the... I think it's still fine, though, because I think Aqua Jet is just going to finish off the Cinderace from the range that it's at. And then Rillaboom should always win against Fini at this point. But let's just double-check the field state of everything. So this is Life Orb. It is at -1 defense and has max Darkness. -1 speed. -1 speed, but we still outspeed the Tapu Fini, which is very good. And this thing has -2 defense, so Rillaboom's always just going to finish it off. Now the question is whether or not Cinderace has Protect. Most Cinderaces don't even carry Protect, so I'm just going to go for Follow Me and Shadow Ball. Even in the worst case, which is you knock out both Pokemon, you protect Cinderace and you Muddy Water, I get a free switch into Urshifu and Rillaboom, so then I can just Aqua Jet and Glide. So we have the perfect Pokemon in the back to seal this game up. So even if they have Max Guard on Cinderace, which is pretty rare, we should have this locked up. But if they don't have Max Guard, this is just instantly a 4v1. Yeah, and they don't. Oh, but Airstream does allow them to outspeed. Okay. I like that. That's a great play. So, yeah. But the thing, this is why it's still fine, right? Like, once again, I didn't ask myself what the worst case scenario was in game 2. And, like, you really should do that even when you think the game is locked up. Because that's the easiest way to throw when you think the game's guaranteed win. But it doesn't end up actually being a win. I'm curious if this KOs because we do have a special defense boost, but I think we should feint. Yeah. But that's fine. Because now I just get the free switching into Rillaboom. Unless Fini actually... No, even if you have Moonblast. Like, Urshifu's just going to Aqua Jet KO Cinderace. It's at -1 defense. So, that's why I felt fine playing safe this entire game. And no Tailwind made the match a little bit easier for us. But once again, like, my opponent led. The funny thing, yeah, in using this Coalossal team is, like, almost all of our opponents lead with their Coalossal counter immediately, right? So that's going to be the water types. And the water types don't do that much damage into Spectrier specifically. So, just double checking the field state. -2 defense, +1 speed. Says -1 defense. So we should be good to just go for Aqua Jet into Cinderace. And glide into Fini. I mean, Aqua Jet's always KOing Cinderace from this range, right? If I wasn't confident in KOing, like, my opponent's play here would be to protect the Tapu Fini, yep, and then hope to survive an Aqua Jet. The play would have been actually to maybe double up onto the Cinderace slot. But, yeah, Aqua Jet gets the KO there. Oh, it was a crit, but I really don't... Like, I'll do the calc, but I really don't think that mattered. But I think it may have been smarter to actually double up onto Cinderace there with the Glide, because the Glide gets redirected anyway. Let's see, Urshifu into Cinderace. Normally, they don't really have any bulk. Aqua Jet. You're flying type, and you're at -1 defense. Yeah, Aqua Jet does 21 and 25%, so they're never surviving that. Now we can just Surging Strikes and Glide. This is why, like, it's one really interesting way to play in, like, Sword and Shield is using, like, Dynamax drops to set yourself up for KOs, right? Like, Fini was out on the field the whole time, but it wasn't really putting on that much pressure, and in fact, it kind of worked against my opponent, right? And once again, this was just Spectre accelerating the game so quickly. Like, often against this team, like I just mentioned, so many people bring their Water-type Pokemon or their counters to Coalossal, but as a result, they normally have a lead in which, like, okay, you have a Water Pokemon like in Dynamax, and then something that supports that Water-type Pokemon, like Incineroar, like Thundurus, for example. So Spectre, when paired with that Togekiss, the Togekiss protects Spectre for a turn, and then Spectre can often just pick up that one-hit KO on the support Pokemon, get a special attack boost immediately, and then you really, really get the ball rolling. So, yeah. Once again, I just think it's a really smart way to team build, and this team executes it really well, right? Like, initially when I saw this team, I was like, oh, it's just a Coalossal team, but we went Spectre over Coalossal for 5 of the 6 games. So it goes to show how consistent Spectre can be, especially when you force your opponent to bring specific Pokemon, because that's the thing, right? My opponents are absolutely in the right to go with Coalossal, because you kind of, go with the Water-type Pokemon to beat Coalossal, because if you don't lead properly against Coalossal, you will lose the game in the first turn. Coalossal, that's one of the reasons why it's just been one of the most dominant Pokemon. It applies so much pressure just in team preview alone, but as a result, we've been able to take advantage of it, and then Spectre's been able to just, really put in a lot of work. So, yeah. I'll say that in a bunch of the games that I played for fun with this team, off-screen and for practice, the biggest issue I often ran into was running into, like, random max steel spikes, like I mentioned earlier, right? So there were a lot of games where I'd lead Togekiss Spectre, and then my Togekiss would just get sniped turn 1 by, like, a Helping Hand max steel spike, and it would just faint on the first turn. That's a really big issue. And yeah, in game 2, like, that's a perfect example of how you always want to consider the end games, even if you feel like it's wrapped up. We ran into, like, the worst case scenario. That's why I always, like, typically try to run through the worst case scenario, but in that game, yeah, I just, like, didn't see I didn't see the weakness policy coming out at all, and I didn't really think we needed to Woodhammer. But it's just always objectively better to Woodhammer there, because Glide gives us such minuscule damage anyway. So yeah, that's on me. But yeah, really cool set of teams today, and I hope you enjoyed. So if you're looking for a team to climb, this is definitely, I think, one of the stronger ones we featured recently. So thanks once again to Jude for the team. Thanks to you all as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll see you all next time. All right, peace.